Welcome to the Digi-Wave ACM tutorial. Digi-Wave ACM, or Advanced Comms Mode, builds on the standard Digi-Wave configuration modes with a powerful set of expanded communication features, including subgroups and subgroup naming, all call to broadcast to all groups at once, private call for one-on-one communication within a group, and main sync to ensure seamless coordination across devices. In this video, we'll walk you through each of these features and show how to apply them in real-world scenarios. If you haven't already, we suggest checking out our Digi-Wave introduction video first. It'll give you a solid overview of how Digi-Wave devices work and help you get the most out of this tutorial. DLT400 devices with ACM are compatible with the DLR400 RCH receiver. However, they are not compatible with the DLR400 ALK or any 300 series Digi-Wave devices. Advanced Comms Mode, ACM, is designed for complex communication setups where multiple teams need to coordinate independently and together. Let's look at a practical example. You're setting up a Digi-Wave system for a theater production crew. Let's say you have 4 teams as part of the crew, and the director needs to communicate with each team individually, lighting, sound, or stagehands, with all teams together, and privately with team leads. Not only does ACM support this kind of setup, but it also allows you to have custom naming for each team. We'll start by breaking down the key communication roles used in ACM. Lead 1. Only one DLT400 ACM can be assigned as a Lead 1. In this scenario, Lead 1 could be the director. Lead 1 has priority speaking rights across the system. This unit can communicate with anyone, specific subgroups, or directly with Lead 2 or guest users for private conversations. Lead 2, this is optional. Lead 2 roles are typically assigned to team leaders or are second in command to the Lead 1 role, like a stage manager. They can be configured to switch between one or more subgroups, participate in all call, and initiate private calls with Lead 1. Guest. Any number of DLT400 ACMs can be configured as guests. Each guest belongs to a single subgroup and can only communicate within that subgroup, if subgroups have been established by the Lead 1 or Control DLT. Guests can be configured to initiate a private call with Lead 1 if desired. This is ideal for general crew members. Let's consider some real-world application scenarios. A theater or stage production crew with directors, a stage manager, lights, camera, audio, and talent. A security crew that has teams in different wings of a building, east, west, north, or south. A football sideline crew with a coach, assistant coaches, and physical trainers. Or an event conference space production team with an event coordinator, music, lights, and catering. We'll move forward with the theater or stage production crew scenario for this tutorial. To help illustrate this, let's walk through the following communication tree. In this configuration, the director is assigned as a Lead 1 and acts as the main sync. They have full communication access, meaning they can speak to any subgroup individually or use all call to reach everyone at once. The stage manager is configured as Lead 2, access to all subgroups independently, but doesn't need to initiate an all call. Each technical crew, lights, camera, audio, and talent, includes one team member with a DLT400 ACM set as Lead 2. These crew leaders can speak privately with the director and stage manager, as well as communicate directly with their own team. The remaining crew members in each group are equipped with DLR receivers. These devices allow them to listen to instructions from the director, stage manager, and their designated crew leader, but they cannot transmit. This proposed structure ensures clear, role-based communication. Team leaders serve as a single point of contact between the director and the rest of the crew, keeping communications streamlined and efficient. A control unit is also configured for subgroup management. While it's available for adjustments, we're assuming subgroup settings will remain fixed during production. As such, the control unit can remain stationary or be assigned to a production assistant if needed. Next, let's start configuring these devices. We'll begin with the control unit. To power on the DLT-400 ACM, press and hold the power button for 2 seconds. Once powered on, press and hold the menu select button located to the right of the microphone button for 2 seconds to enter the settings configuration menu. Choose between English or Spanish. This only changes the display language for the menus and does not affect interpretation settings. You'll now see 3 options: Join Group, Load Profile, and New Settings. For this example, choose New Settings. You'll now choose a system mode. ACM is an additional mode that's available if you have an ACM-enabled DLT. Role selection in the ACM mode works a little differently than in standard Digi-Wave setups, but one key rule still applies. There must be one DLT device that all others sync to. In ACM, this device is called the main sync, rather than a master 1 or master, as in other Digi-Wave modes. There are 3 role options in ACM. Node. This is a follower or slave device that syncs to the main sync and participates in communication as configured. Main sync. This is the central master device. All nodes sync to this unit, and it sets the operational range for the group. One is required for system operation. For some venues, it may be helpful to mount a main sync DLT-400 ACM in a fixed central location. This unit can be connected to a Digi-Wave Connect, model number DWD401, which provides constant power and flexible mounting options. You'll know a unit is set as a main sync when an M appears on its display. And control. This role is for configuration only. It doesn't participate in live communication, but allows subgroup management. We'll configure Node and the main sync devices later in this video. For now, we'll continue configuring the control device. Group numbers allow multiple communication groups to operate in the same space without interference. Let's select Group 1 for our practical example. All call permissions. This setting determines who can initiate the all call function, that is, who can speak to all DLT and DLR users regardless of their subgroup membership. There are 2 options: Lead 1 only, or Lead 1 and Lead 2. Let's consider our practical example. The director, assigned as Lead 1, needs to be able to address the entire production team at once, issuing directions that apply to everyone across all crews. The stage manager, assigned as Lead 2, communicates actively with all subgroups, but doesn't need to initiate an all call. Their role involves coordination that's crew-specific rather than universal. Given this structure, we'll select Lead 1 only for all call access. To initiate an all call on a configured DLT, press and hold the talk button until the red LED ring surrounding the talk button starts to blink. This will mute all other DLTs and open the transmission to all devices in the group. To end an all call, simply press the talk button on the device that initiated the call. All call talkback permissions. This setting defines which roles are allowed to respond to a Lead 1 or Lead 2 during an all call transmission, depending upon the all call permissions you've set. There are 3 options. No. All call is one way only. No responses are allowed. Lead 2 only. Only users assigned as a Lead 2 can talk back during an all call. And Lead 2 and guest. Both Lead 2 and guest DLT users can respond. In our scenario, each crew has a designated Lead 2 using a DLT. It makes sense to allow these teams to talk back during an all call so they can ask clarifying questions or relay concerns on behalf of their crew. In some cases, you may want all DLT users, including guests, to respond, for example, in a more collaborative or open setup. Other times, you may want all call to be strictly one way with no talkback to minimize interruptions. Choose the best option that supports your production flow and communication priorities. Private call permissions. Here, we must define who, if anyone, can initiate a private call with the Lead 1 DLT user. You have 3 options: Lead 2 only. Only the user assigned as Lead 2 can start a private call with Lead 1. No. where no one can initiate a private call with lead 1. For lead 2 and guest, any DLT user, including those on guest roles, can start a private call with lead 1. Granting private call permissions can be useful when fast or sensitive communication is necessary. For example, let's say the talent team leader needs to alert the director who is using the lead 1 DLT that a talent team issue will delay production. With private call permissions enabled, the talent lead can quickly inform the director, who can then coordinate with the rest of the crew to adjust the schedule as needed. This setup helps ensure critical information reaches the right person without delay. Number of subgroups. In this step, you'll choose how many subgroups to configure for the current group number. For our scenario, we'll set up 4 subgroups: lights, camera, audio, and talent. Name subgroups. In this step, you'll decide whether to assign custom names to your subgroups or stick with the default labels, subgroup 1, subgroup 2, and so on. Giving each subgroup a unique name like lights, camera, audio, or talent can make communication much clearer, especially for the lead 1 user. It's much easier to know who you're addressing when the name reflects the team rather than a number. This is a small step that can make a big difference in fast-paced production environments. You'll start with subgroup 1 or SG1 and choose from the 3 naming options. SG1, this is the default label, simple and numeric. Standard list, this option pulls from a list of predefined names based on common real-world roles and scenarios. In our case, we're using a scenario that already includes names like lights, camera, audio, and talent. Or custom. This allows you to enter your own name up to 5 characters. You can use letters, numbers, and even blank spaces. After you've chosen a name for subgroup 1, the same set of options will appear for subgroup 2, subgroup 3, and subgroup 4, one right after another. Simply repeat the process, selecting either the default name, a name from the standard list, or entering a custom name until all 4 subgroups are named. Clock mode. Choose either a 12-hour or 24-hour format. Set the current time if needed. The master DLT will sync this time to all other devices in the group. Advanced settings. You can skip advanced settings for now by selecting No. If you'd like more detail on these settings, check out the DLT 400 user manual or watch our advanced settings video. You'll now see 3 options: Save, Save as Profile, and Cancel. Update System. If you select Save, the next screen will prompt you to decide whether you'd like to update the system. Selecting No will save your settings only to the current DLT device without making any changes to the sync group. Selecting Update System Now will lead you to another confirmation screen that says, "Are you sure?" If you select No, it will return you to the initial update page. If you select Update System Now, the settings will be pushed to all devices synced with the master DLT in your group. A status bar will appear on the screen, and once the process is complete, you will see Update OK displayed. All DLTs and DLRs must be connected to the master unit within radio range and turned on for the update to complete successfully. You can review the current subgroups and names at the bottom of the display. To scroll through the channel names, simply use the up and down arrows. Now that we've completed setup for the control DLT and configured the subgroup settings, it's time to move on to the director's Lead 1 DLT unit. This device will also serve as the main sync for the group. Many of the configuration steps will be similar or identical to those we followed for the control DLT. Still, we'll walk through them step by step to ensure everything is set up correctly. Let's get started. Press and hold the power button for 2 seconds. Once powered on, press and hold the menu select button, which is located to the right of the talk button, for 2 seconds to enter the settings configuration menu. Choose between English or Spanish. Choose New Settings. You'll now choose a system mode. ACM is an additional mode that's available if you have an ACM-enabled DLT. We configured a control device in a previous section of this video. We'll configure a node device later in this video. For now, we'll continue configuring the main sync device. In this configuration, the director is assigned as a lead 1. Let's select Group 1 for our practical example. We'll select Lead 1 only for all call access. This ensures that only the director can broadcast to the entire team. In our scenario, each crew has a designated Lead 2 using a DLT. It makes sense to allow these team leads to talk back during an all call. Private call permissions. Lead 2 only. In this case, only the user assigned as Lead 2 can start a private call with Lead 1. Number of subgroups. For our scenario, we'll set up 4 subgroups. Name subgroups. In this step, you'll decide whether to assign custom names to your subgroups or stick with the default labels, subgroup 1, subgroup 2, and so on. Subgroup naming. Now it's time to name each of your subgroups. You'll start with subgroup 1, or SG1. In our case, we're using a scenario that already includes names like lights, camera, audio, and talent. After you've chosen the name for subgroup 1, the same set of options will appear for subgroup 2, subgroup 3, and subgroup 4, one after the other. Simply repeat the process, selecting either the default name, a name from the standard list, or entering a custom name until all 4 subgroups are named. Clock mode. Choose either a 12-hour or 24-hour format. Set the current time if needed. The master DLT will sync this time to all other devices in the group. Advanced settings. You can skip advanced settings for now by selecting No. Next, we'll configure the DLTs for the stage manager and team leaders of the 4 production crews. As covered in section 2 of this video, the stage manager's DLT should be set up as a Lead 2 node device. This configuration allows the stage manager to communicate with all 4 subgroups, lights, camera, audio, and talent. Each team leader DLT will also be configured as a Lead 2 node. For this tutorial, we'll demonstrate how to configure 2 DLTs, each assigned to lead 2 subgroups. This ensures that all 4 subgroups have lead 2 representation and each team leader can toggle their audio output between the 2 subgroups they're responsible for as needed. This setup supports flexible role-based communication across production teams. Let's walk through how to configure these devices. Press and hold the power button for 2 seconds. Once powered on, press and hold the menu select button for 2 seconds to enter the settings configuration menu. Choose between English or Spanish. Choose New Settings. ACM is an additional mode that's available if you have an ACM-enabled DLT. We configured control and main sync units in the previous section of this video, and now we'll continue by configuring the node devices. Lead 2. The main sync in our group is configured to group 1, so we'll need to configure our lead 2 devices to the same group. For this step, we must select the subgroup or subgroups that this DLT will be a member of. At least one subgroup must be selected for any node DLT. As we suggested at the beginning of this section, We want this first device, which will serve as the DLT for the stage manager, to be a member of all 4 subgroups. To do so, start by selecting SG1. If you continue adding subgroups, you'll also be given the option to add a third and even a fourth, since this group was configured with 4 subgroups in total. For this device, continue by adding all 4 subgroups. You can only add as many subgroups to a DLT as have been configured for the group. Choose either a 12-hour or 24-hour format. You can skip advanced settings for now by selecting No. If you'd like more detail later, check the DLT 400 user manual or watch our advanced settings video. Step 12. Completing Lead 2 DLT configuration. After finishing the configuration for the first Lead 2 DLT, assigned to the stage manager, you'll continue by setting up 2 more DLTs, each assigned to a team leader. For these 2 devices, when you reach Step 8 and Step 9 in the configuration process, you'll select 2 subgroups for each team leader DLT. Here's how the final setup should look. The Stage Manager DLT will have a Lead 2 node assigned to all 4 subgroups, lights, camera, audio, and talent. The Team Leader 1 DLT will have a Lead 2 node assigned to Subgroup 1 and Subgroup 2, lights and camera. The Team Leader 2 DLT will have a Lead 2 node assigned to Subgroup 3 and Subgroup 4, audio and talent. This ensures that each subgroup is covered by a Lead 2 representative and that the team leaders can toggle between their assigned subgroups as needed. Once configuration is complete, each DLT will be able to toggle between its assigned subgroups using the arrow buttons on the device. The Lead 2 users can also initiate private calls directly from the DLT using those same navigation arrows. In some cases, you may want to assign guest DLTs to crew members so they can communicate back to their team leaders who are using Lead 2 DLTs. This setup is especially useful for enabling direct role-based communication without granting full subgroup control to every user. The configuration steps for guest DLTs are very similar to what we covered in Section 5, but we'll walk through the process again here to make sure everything is clear and properly set up. Press and hold the power button for 2 seconds. Once powered on, press and hold the menu select button, which is located to the right of the talk button, to enter the settings configuration menu. Choose between English or Spanish. For this example, choose New Settings. ACM is an additional mode that's available if you have an ACM-enabled DLT. We configured control and main sync devices in previous section of this video, and now we'll continue by configuring the node devices. Guest. The main sync in our group is configured to Group 1, so we'll need to configure our Lead 2 devices to be in the same group. We must select the subgroup or subgroups that this DLT will be a member of. Choose either a 12-hour or 24-hour format. You can skip advanced settings for now by selecting No. As we mentioned at the beginning of this video, Advanced Comms mode is compatible with Digi-Wave DLR RCH devices. While the DLR setup is simpler than the DLT, it still requires configuration to ensure it connects to the correct group and appropriate subgroup. DLR RCH devices must have firmware version 1.3.0 or higher to be compatible. To check the firmware version, tap the menu button from the main display screen. If an update is needed, contact techservices@williamsav.com for assistance. We'll now walk through the steps to assign a DLR RCH to the main group and one of the configured subgroups. Press and hold the power button for 2 seconds. Press and hold the menu select button for 2 seconds to enter the settings configuration menu. Next, you'll be prompted to select either English or Spanish. We're starting from scratch, so let's select New Settings. We're currently practicing an ACM configuration. Next, choose the same group number as the main sync DLT, which is group number 1. On the next screen, you'll be given the option to join one of the active subgroups. Only the subgroups previously configured using the control DLT will appear as selectable options. If you don't want to go through the additional options, hold the menu select button for 3 seconds. You will then finish programming and your DLR is now active within the chosen subgroup. Tone. The tone setting, indicated by a number inside a box at the center of the screen. This setting adjusts the audio quality. 5 represents a flat, unaltered sound, and values from 6 to 9 increase treble, with 9 providing the highest treble boost, and values from 1 to 4 increase the bass, with 1 offering the most bass boost. Users who require hearing assistance often benefit from the higher treble settings. Line out gain. You'll see options for 0 dB and 4 dB. This setting controls the output gain of the DLR. The DLR allows you to configure its power settings. You can select Auto Off without sync to have the device automatically turn off after 5 minutes if it's not synced to a master DLT. Alternatively, you can choose Always On to keep the device powered on continuously even when it's not synced. You can configure the DLR to enter sleep mode if no buttons are pressed for a set period. The options are 30 seconds, 1 minute, or 5 minutes. When in sleep mode, the display screen will turn itself off to conserve power, while the device itself remains on and synced. The next page allows you to configure the level of encryption for your DLR device. The 2 options are 300 compatible. This uses 87-bit encryption and is compatible with DLT 300s. A PIN code is optional for this encryption level. 128 plus 87-bit encryption. This uses AES 128-bit encryption combined with the 87-bit encryption from the 300 compatible setting. This level of encryption requires setting a PIN code for additional security. Choose a higher level of encryption, like 128 plus 87-bit, and set a PIN code if the conversation is sensitive to prevent unauthorized access. The next page gives you the option to reset this device to factory settings. Yes will erase all saved profiles and configuration settings, returning the device to its original factory state. No, selecting this option will keep all current configuration settings and profiles intact. It can be useful to perform a factory reset if you're troubleshooting or desire to erase all saved profiles. Save and exit. This option saves the current configuration and exits the configuration menu. It's perfect when you've completed your setup and are ready to move forward with your work. Save profile. This allows you to save the current settings into one of 5 available configuration profiles. Once you select a profile slot and save it, the device will exit the configuration menu. By saving profiles, you can quickly load predefined settings in future events, which is especially useful if you need to repeat the same configuration across multiple devices. Thanks for watching this Digi-Wave ACM tutorial. Be sure to check out our other videos for deeper dives into advanced settings, Digi-Wave AIM, and more. As always, if you have any questions or need support, you can reach the Tech Services and Design Department by emailing us at techservices@williamsav.com. For any sales inquiries, email info@williamsav.com.